Here we go, another Shoutcast time. It's been a while, and today I'm bringing yet another game on Wilderness. And this time it is played between myself and Shem, I think is how he says his name. For now we'll just call him Killer, because I know for sure that's how to say one of his nicknames. And of course, he is my opponent. I'm going to turn the game sounds down a little bit, because it's thundering loud on this headset. And I think this is like my third or fourth Shoutcast on this map, so by now you know the locations well, although this is the first 1 vs 1 if I recall correctly, and definitely the first 1 vs 1 location 4 against location 2. In my opinion, location 2 is weaker than location 4. Most people will disagree, but I find the possibilities for late game and defense, especially on location 4, are much better. In fact, 3 is pretty close, but I think location 4 may very well be the easiest location to defend on the map after you have your defenses up. Obviously, right after peacetime, location 1 is the easiest, but in the long game, location 4 will find much better fighting space and better possibilities for maneuvers. And you'll see these later on in the game. We'll pay large attention to my strategy, since when I play in games I like to focus largely on my base, as I know exactly what was going through my head. You can see the priority is getting this gold down in the bottom as quickly as possible, and then building a quick coal mine here. Many players will prefer to make a long road across this coal to the gold, and you'll get your gold and coal at the same time. You'll have your road for all your coal mines built already, but I like to have the gold being built or processed as quickly as possible, and I want to keep my base as small as possible for the longest time possible. So I believe that taking the gold down below and then a quick coal mine to the north is a much better strategy. The idea is to build 2 coal mines very fast, or 2 stonemasons really fast, and since you start with 90 stones, which is a lot, you can actually go all the way down to this gold without building any stonemasons. But of course I build a couple, so I can, don't need to wait around for stones later on. And you can see the stone production is just fine, as I already have my coal mine up, and my metallurgist is on the way at 15 minutes, or 16 minutes it's being built. Could be a little faster, but that's a pretty good time. Especially considering that Shem, our killer, is just now getting his up as well, and location 2, of course, having the fastest gold on the map. The difference is that he already has had a farm up for a little while, and actually, keeping pretty close neck and neck. I have already my 4 woodcutters, and he also has 4, but much less effective than the ones I have up. So my start already is looking quite a bit better. And we're going to be trying to keep everything inside this base within these mountains right here. We want to keep as much of our base in the same area as possible. That's one thing to keep in mind, is if you have all these mountains that you're building around, it's a lot of walking time and makes your city much larger than you want it to be. So we're going to try to keep everything in this valley. Barracks, weapon production, most everything will be in here, and even a little bit of wood production will be down here. Yeah, it's nice to have this coal in the north near your weapon production, but I'm going to be building most of it in this area, a little bit between these 2 iron mountains. Not a big deal. But you really want to avoid building a whole lot up here in this area, as it causes a lot of traffic between these 2 iron mountains. Now here's one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, I only have 4 woodcutters. 5 woodcutters now. And they're supplying 2 wood sawmills just fine. Much better to have a 3rd sawmill with some idle time than to have lots of tree trunks stacked up. As you can see right now, when these guys are done cutting, you'll have a big surge of wood right away. And you want all of that wood to be processed, fast as possible. So we're getting that processed in the trunks, or those trunks processed in the timber boards, so we'll be able to expand much faster. So yeah, even at 4 woodcutters, or 4 woodcutters, still better to have that 3rd sawmill than just 2, if you can spare the laborers and time to do so. But with 5 woodcutters, and especially 6, of course, you want to have that 3rd sawmill as quickly as possible. It will really help your game, I promise you. And you can see I'm already working on my weapons workshop, as I have a plethora of timber. And my strategy you can see here is actually going for pikes. Now why am I going for pikes instead of sword fighters? Well, my theory is that in a 1 vs 1 game, you're unlikely to have any more than 50, and that's at the very most, enemy bowmen on the field at any one moment, but more likely you're going to be seeing 30 to 40. And I expected about 30 from my opponent, 30 tops. So I thought, if I make pikes, then I'll be able to have easy 70 soldiers. 30 pikes, 30 bows, and maybe 15 to 20 militia would be a nice army. A very nice look on this location. I figure that'll enable me to get a much larger map control and possibility for flanking and surrounding my opponent, as I will outnumber him greatly. And if he only has 30 bows, I'm not very worried about the shield bonus that sword fighters have against ranged units. If you're playing in a team game, 4 vs 4, you could get to 80 bowmen in one spot shooting at your pikemen, and your pikes won't be worth anything in situations like that. So here I go figuring that if I go pikes and kind of buff them a little bit with some extra militia, that will enable me to get a larger numbers, ability for flanking, and perhaps even sneak attacks into killer's base, which is very possible. This area right here, location 4 can stream units up through here very easily and very quickly. You may have saw that I'm making lances. It is actually a mistake. Lance and pike strategy is probably not so nice, melee only. But I'll switch over to bows eventually, and I end up trading all these lances to a horse and some iron bars. So in the end, it's alright. Oh, and fun fact, this is the first game. I played this game a couple of days ago. First game I played since November. And I was actually quite happy with my performance, all things considered. Looking at Killer's base, I made a very good decision going for pikes. As we see, he did indeed make a stable. His knights will be essentially useless with 30 pikemen on the field. Biggest problem in his base right now is the woodcutters. He's got 2 woodcutters, pretty inefficient. There's another one not so great. So he's basically running on 5 woodcutters. And only 2 sawmills? This is, oh, okay, 3 sawmills, very good. I was gonna say, that's a grave mistake. Oh, it's 49 minutes, yeah, he better have 3 sawmills, although he may have just started working, I don't know. We'll go back down, as I have, oh, I put this, I put this vineyard here just because I could. I thought it was a very nice fit. As you can see, it has all 9 wood vine tiles needed. And here we go with the towers. I made an extra quarry, so I have 6 quarries, and that'll enable me to fill these towers up very nicely. The idea is to have a nice tower defense right here, so if he streams his soldiers in here, he's got several layers of towers to go through. I used to build my defenses right here, but this is a very bad position to put them, I think, because you're having a much harder time defending it. And if you put your defensive line right here and here, no matter which way he goes in, he attacks here, flank from the west. If he attacks through the west-south, you attack from the east. And never attack location 4 from right here, I think. This is a very bad mistake when the defense is laid out like this, because it will be, you'll set yourself up for a trap, shooting yourself in the foot real well, and we'll see if that comes into play later on. Alright, we have 2 minutes till the end of the peace treaty. You can see we have 30 pikes and about 30 bows. Handful of axe fighters and of course the Night Scout. And from Killer we have, we're going to have about 11 or 10 knights. About 16 sword fighters and some bows. So this is Killer's first time playing on this location, if I recall correctly. Pretty sure it is. Actually, I think he said he played here before. Not sure. Nevertheless, he's not very familiar with the map, so Wilderness can be a tricky one. And here we go. We have the scouting. Already causing some ruckus down here. And my scouting as well. The reason I engaged this knight here is because, yeah, you missed it, his knights were down here, and I thought, hey, if I were to attack his knight, he'd get the alert, your troops are under attack. So bam, he's distracted, looks over here, sees just a knight bundle. I thought maybe it would gain myself enough time to get my pikes up here and catch his knights in the open, and it would be a nice massacre for my for me. But unfortunately, it didn't work. And here is my militia to the rescue. Does he make it in time? Oh, just barely not. So, there we are, first blood. Exploring over here. I don't want any militia or a couple of knights to swing around and go through the back while I'm not paying attention, so... Although, as you can see, I do have preventive measures in play for that as well. Excuse me. Okay. Turn up the speed a little bit, and I'll... Spoiler, there is no immediate attack. Now, here's a grave mistake I made, and it's turning out to be a real pain. This area here, I did not explore, and that is a huge mistake. That's probably one of the most valuable pieces on the map to explore, and here I am worrying about empty locations, so... of course that is a problem. I'm not interested in any camping, so here I am trying to push out even though it's worsening my position. But of course it's foolhardy. This army will easily massacre me in a tight position. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, trying to send part of my army over here to do some kind of flanking. Killer wants nothing of it, so he's moving over here. And pay attention to my economy here, you can see I did transition nicely to sword fighters. How I did this is I built one weapon smithy and had him make a bunch of pikes, and then I used my two armor smithies to catch up. And once the armor smithies caught up with the pike production, I switched over to sword fighters. And it worked quite nicely. The main idea of this brigade over here is just to get some scouting information. And here we go. First fight. Knights right to the pikes. They just disappear. It's crazy. And here we go. Trying to do some flanking maneuvers. It's hard to catch everything going on. You have pikemen killing ranged here, pikemen killing ranged up here, and ranged that are way too far away. Of course, a lost fight for me. Perhaps the pikes did not pay off in the end. My economy is very strong, though, so soldiers coming to reinforce. At this point, I'm totally fine with losing 2 soldiers to 1, as long as I'm depleting his numbers. I realize that he has a stable, so I know my economy is very likely stronger than his, and I'm very comfortable with my economy anyway. So, in a war of attrition, I believe that I will win. So even if I'm losing more soldiers than I'm killing, I'm comfortable that my economy is good enough where I can afford losses where he cannot. And question of the day, is this camping or is this defending? Well, in my eyes, maybe I'm biased because it's me playing, but I'd like to call this defending, as I am sallying forth many times, trying to open the game up, get a fight going. So far it's been an entertaining game, at least for the players. No long standoffs or anything like that. You may hear some background noise for a little while. My brother did just enter the house. And maybe I can mute the microphone to greet him, but forgive me.
Fire at will!
Alright, sorry about that.
Fire at will!
And this is just a terrible suicide attack. I didn't do a good enough job controlling my units here, and was not able to flank as well as I should have. But I still consider it a moral victory, as I was able to eliminate his melee, and again, my economy, more comfortable with it. And I'm sure it's doing better than his, so. Reinforcements are on the way, for both of us actually. Killer's comfortable, believes that he's eliminated my entire army, so here he goes, doing an all-out attack. Look at his visibility, see what he sees. I didn't realize he got in here, the tower must have killed him. And here is the folly of attacking location 4 from this angle. He is completely surrounded now. And now it's just a matter of routing these archers. If I had only one knight, this would turn out much better for me.
Fire at will!
And more spam on the way.
Fire! Arch your bows!
A glorious charge to finish it off. I think this is a classic problem, a classic setup to make yourself fail on this location, is putting your barracks right here. Sure, it's in a nice spot to reinforce quickly, and it's where your weapon production lies naturally, so it's, in a layout sense, it's nice, but this is really nice spot to defend. You can do a good job here if you don't put a whole lot of buildings here, a couple of towers, put some archers here. There's no way anyone can attack through here. And in fact, if you can avoid building in here very much at all, other than a couple of coal mines, maybe metallurgists or some farms, maybe a woodcutter, you can essentially make yourself invincible on this location, especially in a 1 versus 1 map. Putting your barracks here, all the enemy needs to do is form a position right here. And you've lost. He doesn't need to go any further into your base. So you have no possibility to defend from that. Which is exactly why having your barracks inside your base like this, even though it's further away to reinforce, it really gives you a chance to come back in a defensive standpoint.
Fire at will! Bows! Fire at will! Fire at will! Keep following me!
Anyway, the tactic of the game was, if you're gonna camp or defend smart, and flanking still gives possibilities to turn battles around. And here we see stats, neck and neck on fighting. But you can see here, that's where that economy factor is that I was comfortable about. As long as I can continue pumping up more militia and more axe fighters, I was very comfortable knowing that I could continue attacking, continue opening the game up to make it more interesting. Army graph. Everyone's favorite stat, fish and horses. Alright, well, thank you for watching.